the DOGE report, part 2, on how did we end up in the Oval Office in a fight, all about NATO, Russia, peace treaty deal. Let's get into it. So we just talked about how did Zelensky become president. Quite interesting, yes? So now, as president, he keeps pressing Ukraine to join NATO. Now, that was Russia's line in the sand. They said, listen, Ukraine cannot join NATO and you cannot have biolabs. This is free. And however, they were doing both, right? Ukraine kept pressing for NATO. And if you go Google it, I want you to go spend 5 minutes on the internet and look up biolabs in Ukraine. There were 46 of them being funded and still operational, 4 of them in Kiev. And finally, Russia was like, hey, game over. We're not doing this. That's what started the war. Now, why is it important that Ukraine not go, or why we don't back them going into NATO? Because it's preventing us from World War III, like you saw in the Oval Office. Because if we were to let Ukraine join NATO, NATO has an all-for-one mentality. So if one of the NATO people gets attacked, all the people in NATO must back it, help fund it, help fight it. Okay? So if that happens, and Ukraine and Russia, who don't get along, who've never gotten along, who probably aren't going to get along, stay in this war or get in war, even bigger war, we will be required as NATO allies to then fight the war with them, sending our military, our people into harm's way. We don't want to do that. And number 2, now you've got us all fighting against Russia. Where do you think China's going to go? That's what he was trying to say. China would absolutely join Russia, putting us in World War III. So that is not what we need to do. So Trump was trying to say, hey, listen, the best way to get support and protection is do the mineral deal with us. Because number 1, the mineral deal will pay us back for the $350 billion that you have taken from our tax-paying citizens and used for this war. It'll pay us back, and it's going to protect you because it will put American workers in these minefields, American contractors, and Russia is not dumb. They will not attack against American people because then they would poke the bear, and we would absolutely at that point have to do it, and that's a war they know they can't win. So the most efficient way to keep Ukraine out of NATO, but Ukraine safe, is this deal. And for whatever reason, Zelensky thought maybe he was still working with Biden and we were going to be a pushover and allow this all to happen and become NATO. It's not going to happen. And so he left with his panties in a wad, basically. And so now I think he's going to take the deal. I need to look into it. I've been quite busy at my gym and things, but I'll get into that. But that is how we ended up here. That is why Russia and Ukraine got into this fight. This is why we don't want them to join NATO, because it's going to be like us being Switzerland. It kind of makes us be Switzerland because we don't have to pick. We get to be at peace with everyone, and that's the goal. We want peace, and you should want peace.